Hey, this is Pooja Chilukuri. Welcome to Faith After Religious Deconstruction. I am going to talk about my journey with religious deconstruction in this video. It all started with a spiritual awakening in the year 2010. Before that, I was a Christian for 17 years, going to church very religiously and very deeply entrenched in all of the doctrines. It was a non-denominational church, but they functioned very much from the point of view of evangelicals and fundamentalists as far as scriptures were concerned. Prior to that, for 19 years, I grew up Hindu and also with very strict religious protocols. So I was no stranger to doctrines and following authority. However, in 2010, I had a very special experience, a very mystical and supernatural experience with Jesus. And what I found was the Jesus that was personally interacting with me was very different from what I was hearing in church. And that's what started this whole process of questioning. However, at first, it was really, really hard to break away. But every time I went to church, I would hear things that just didn't align with how Jesus was talking to me. Jesus appeared to me with a lot of kindness, with a lot of love, whereas the church I was going to and the sermons that I was listening to seemed like they were pointing to a God that's very harsh, very judgmental, punitive. You know it if you've heard those kind of sermons. And very soon, this whole disconnect started happening and it started eating away at my soul. And I knew that I couldn't keep doing this. I couldn't keep going to the church. So I tried to go to a different church and thought that that would solve my problem, but it actually didn't. The other church was far more open to a loving and kind God. You know, the whole idea of God of grace. However, still, the more deeper I went with Jesus in my personal life, the more I started realizing that the Christian worldview that I was presented with was very restrictive, and Jesus is much more universal and much more expansive than that. So then began the process of deconstruction. I also dealt with, significant religious trauma from some of the things that I'd been taught. And in a different video, I'll cover more on that because I think it's a very important topic to discuss about religious trauma. But as I started deconstructing, I realized that the first thing I needed to deconstruct from was some very toxic view of God. How do I view God, right? And then this was a whole process, and it's taken 10 years. And I want to share, some of the books and resources that helped me. So the first book that really helped me to kind of uncondition my mind, to kind of deprogram my mind from the images of God that I had been fed, is this book right here. Holding it up so you can see it. I discovered this book back in 2011, and it's called Soul Repair. And the writers who wrote this, Jeff Van Wonderen, he was an interventionist for addictions. And then Dale and Juanita Ryan. Dale Ryan was a pastor who left the organized religion. This is a brilliant book, and I highly recommend it to anyone that's experiencing spiritual awakening and they're trying to break away from their religious mindsets. It doesn't matter what religion you're in. This book talks about four different kinds of spirituality and four different kinds of spirituality that you can experience within religion or without religion. And what I really love about it is that it really goes deep in each one and talks about religion as an addiction as well. Because no matter how much it's hurting us, no matter if you have trauma, no matter if you're feeling depressed or anxious, we keep coming back for more. So he really breaks it down in this book. So I highly recommend it because this book really helped me to overcome some of the negative views and distorted views of God. And the second thing I needed to deconstruct from was all of the Bible verses that I had been fed that was actually a burden to me because of how demanding they seemed. Like, do this, do that, all these rules that we had to follow, and all these hoops we had to jump through, or else the wrath of God would come upon us, right? Since then, I'm really happy to, say that with all the research I've done, all of the things that I've studied, and also with help from Jesus, whose presence keeps filling me every day, I was able to reframe and re understand some of those very difficult Bible verses. And that has really set me free. And I really enjoy the Bible now. And I've written several books reframing those Bible verses, rediscovering Jesus. And I just wanted you to know I'm not making these videos just to sell those books. If you really are interested, please reach out to me. I'll put the link in the show notes below. If you fill out the contact form and tell me which book you're interested in, or you're welcome to browse my website where all the books are listed. I am very happy to send you a free copy of the book. So I really, really want people who are interested in learning more to just read and share my thoughts with you guys. So there's that. And then there's another book that really helped me. And it really helped me to untangle some of the difficult Bible verses that I've been hearing in church. And it's called Twisted Scriptures. Again, a really, really brilliant book. And it walks through many of the scriptures that are used in churches to control, to intimidate, and whether that's the intention or not, but that's how they end up. That's the result, right, of continuously feeding yourself some of these scriptures that we have misunderstood over the ages. We've misunderstood Jesus's teachings over the ages. So I think it's really important when you're deconstructing to understand that having the right view of God is very, very important. If we view God as judging and hating, that's what we'll end up becoming. And if we view God, however you think of God, whether you think of God as a being, an energy, source, the intelligence in the universe, however you do, and it's important to think of God as primarily love, because otherwise, like I said, the way we view God is how we're going to end up living our lives, and it's going to percolate into every area of our lives. So, again, very important. So, view of God, view of scriptures. It took me a long time, but it really, really helped me. And then the third thing that really helped me to validate what I knew about God and what I even felt Jesus was showing me was a bunch of stories of different people with near death experiences. And these people had died, they had flatlined in the hospital, left their bodies, have been in the astral plane, have been on the other side, and they come back. And all their stories are so different, but over and over, I would hear a common theme about the love and the unconditional love that they were met with on the other side, and how unique each experience was. Again, telling me the God of love, just interacts with us the way that we can relate and understand. So, this was also very helpful for my deconstruction journey. Another place where we have to deconstruct whenever we have been in cult-like groups and been indoctrinated, we tend to look at the world as they, and then we're the special people, right? Us versus they. We have the special blessing, or they are denied the blessing, right? So this is very, very important. Again, to see people not as our religion teaches us, but to see people as other humans. We may be all from different backgrounds, color, language, race, but in the end, we go through similar emotions. We are human, all of us. So that's another place to deconstruct. And then the last thing I needed to deconstruct from was this whole worldview about the afterlife, that some people were going to go to heaven and others were going to go to hell. And I promise you, I do want to make another video on the topic of hell because it's so important. But for this video, I just want to say that from what I've experienced with Jesus and what so many people have experienced in their near death experience, the hell that people talk about in religion, that's not real. It's not. And there is no need to be afraid. For even people that have died and been on the other side, and maybe they didn't see the light, and they felt like they were in a place that, some people might call it hell, but I certainly think that it was because of whatever they were experiencing in the conditions under which they died, that their consciousness was carried forward. But even those people saw the light, and even those people saw the love of God. People that were atheists, some people had not lived a life they were proud of, but they were also received with love and kindness on the other side. All these testimonies really blew my mind because of how deeply I was taught about hell and for how long I believed that those who were not practicing the same religion as me were going to go to hell. And so this really blew my mind and really opened my eyes. So I just want to encourage everybody that's going through this process of religious deconstruction. Please be patient with yourself. It took me 10 years, slowly but surely, to get to where I am today. And it's been over 15 years. The last 5 years, I feel like I've really had the freedom to practice spirituality the way that I can integrate all of the pieces from my Hindu background and the pieces from my Christian faith and Jesus. Jesus, who, if Jesus hadn't shown up in 2010, I wouldn't be making this video today. So I just want to encourage everybody, there is a path that you're meant to be on. Just be patient with yourself and follow that unique path that is for you. Thank you so much for watching this video and hope to see you in my next video.